I am Dr. Kate Rodriguez, and welcome to the Overachieving Shit Show. Like I've said in the past, we have to do a disclaimer because some people think because I am a therapist and this is a show that this is professional advice. It is not. This is for pure entertainment purposes only. So today I'm so excited. I got to be the guest taste tester for Chili con Chili, and I am here with Matt Stevens himself.
Thank you.
Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Glad to be. Welcome to my house.
Yes, absolutely. So, Matt, I've told you a little bit about the podcast. I know you've watched one. Thank you. I appreciate that. Every listener, everybody who watches is awesome. The biggest thing we talk about is burnout, right? So, all the stress and burnout in different industries. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing all these years with all these entertainers?
Yeah. Well, I've been in the entertainment business all my life. I started off when I was 12, 13 years old, putting on dances, and, had a disco machine, I had a popcorn machine, and I used to buy cola, sell them and rent off dance halls. And then I furthered that when I got 15 years old, I started renting buses to take trips. And I was raised in Portland, Texas, and there was a Pizza Hut, a Whataburger, and that was it. Period. The population was, I think, 3,000 or 4,000. And so I would charter these buses, and you would pay me a certain fee, and there was 50 seats on the bus, and we would go to Luckenbach, Texas, and we'd leave at noon, and we'd get back usually about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd go to a dance in Luckenbach, and then when the dance was over, we'd load up and come back. And anyway, I did that till I guess I graduated from high school.
That is so cool. So in high school, you had already gotten into the entertainment business, and you've just always loved it.
Yeah. Doing dances and just anything promotion. I sound like Old Man River, but back in the day, things were different. Like you could rent a bus. Mm-hmm. You can't do that anymore. And I could rent a bus. It would cost so much. I would charge so much a seat, and that's how I'd make a living. It was just a lot of fun, and it was great because then you kind of create a following. There was no social media, but you created a following. And so anytime I would do a dance or a bus trip or something, I had a following. So then when I went to college, I ended up going 1 year in Corpus Christi, then the next year in Beeville. And I would do the same there. I'd do the dances there, and it was cool. And it's not the same, for a promoter to rent a dance hall, and because of the cost and the way everything's set up, you just really can't do what you used to be able to do. But at the time, it was a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so being around the entertainment industry, I bet you have met some hot messes.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you have met so many great people, especially with the nonprofits that you work with. But I bet there's just been so many big personalities throughout all of that. So it's really cool because what we do is talk about different ways we've seen people burn out. And have you seen some pretty burnout kind of entertainers and stuff in that area?
It's funny because a lot of people in their mind think they put entertainers on a big platform, and most of them, when they're on stage, they're one person, and when they're not on stage, they're another person. Sports figures or singers or bands or whatever, it's amazing how many of these guys, and I don't mean to be ugly, but they have no personality whatsoever. I mean, like none. They can't hardly carry a conversation. And then when they get on stage, they're like a totally different person. And I never got used to it, but I think for the most part, I've got great stories that I cherish. And most of the people that I've spent a lot of time with them, and I get to know them, and they ask a lot of questions. And so there's some are my favorites, and some are not my favorites. That's all I can say.
I love it because I'm sure you have so many stories of people that you can't tell and you can't talk about.
No. There's one that I probably shouldn't tell, but I love telling it. And I did a lot of engagements with Bruce Jenner. And Bruce Jenner was great because not only was he, an Olympic champion and whatnot, and this was right before he got the Kardashians television show and all that stuff, but he was a great businessman. And people didn't know that about him. Like, he was a real savvy businessman with investments. He would tell me about business and stuff like that. It was a whole side of him that people didn't know about. And then I know his lifestyle changed and all that stuff. But when the time that I got to spend with him was incredible, because he would say, you need to do this, you need to do that. And everything he said was like spot on. And he was. I didn't realize that he was a sex story. Nobody hears about that part of it. Anyway.
Wow, that is really cool. So a lot of people who show like this whole different personality. I'm actually going to be doing an interview soon with somebody who's a business owner and also does drag. And he often will talk about how the personality are different.
Yeah.
And so it's hard because sometimes one of those personalities is cooler than the other one.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like everybody loves the entertainment side, but they forget I'm just a normal person too.
No. I love it. It's kind of cool because that world, entertainment world, allows those people to be who they are when they want to be. And a lot of people don't have that choice. It should be, but you know, you always say, well, there's two different people. There's me, the lawyer, and then me, the person. And sometimes that's true, but more so in the entertainment business. I was thinking about all the different people that I've worked with, and I've worked with a lot of them: Joan Rivers, Garth Brooks, George Strait, and Richard Simmons. You know, and Richard Simmons was another one that was a business genius.
Really?
I mean, just a business genius. And he was on more energy than I've ever seen, that he always had a project, whether it be a book, a video, or something, and he was just so driven. And he had a manager that could not keep up with him. His manager was with him all his life, and every time I'd work with him, the manager would be there. And the manager was always out of breath trying to keep up with Richard Simmons. And I just thought, you know, people don't get to see that side of them, and I think it's cool.
No, that is definitely cool.
Yeah.
So you were always behind the scenes. You were always or promoting and those kind of things. And so was Chili con Chili one of the first times where the attention gets to be on you?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. You know, it's so funny.
I want to show you.
I was reading a book about a guy in Mexico. I won't say which city, but in a city in Mexico, and he was like the guy. Like, we would go there, and I would see him, he'd be walking down the street, and he was like the guy. I mean, he was just cool. Everything about him, his business, everything. I mean, he was just the guy. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody said, well, you know, there's a book about the guy. And he said, because before he was there, he did something else. And so I went on, I read the book. I found the book, and I read it about him, and he said that what made his life complete was doing something out of the box that was just totally different. That was not what he would normally do. And ever since he started doing that, his life got better. And it wasn't a business decision. It was just a decision to start doing something that he would normally never do. And so that's what I started thinking. I thought, you know what? I was at that time, I think I was, 50 or 55 years old, and I thought, I just need a little something. I just don't know what it is. And I don't like television. I'm not a television fan at all. And the only thing I like to watch on television is cooking shows. But I think the cooking shows are horrible. I mean, first off, they're not funny. And the ones that think they're funny, they're really not funny. And I thought, I think I could do this better. I just, for some reason, I did. And at the time, my best friend Sam, he was like, I'm in, whatever you want me to do, I'll help. I said, you'll be the taster. And I won't ever have to deal with that. And so I made this ridiculous show where the doorbell rang, and Sam would walk in every Sunday, and it was always Sam. And I always say, oh, it's my surprise taster, but it was Sam every time. And that part of it was funny. And he was funny. And what happened when I started the show, everybody was watching for Sam. They weren't watching for me, because his reactions about the food and what he would say were just really cool. Anyway,
I remember he would sit there and look real serious while you were just acting all crazy over here, looking for stuff in your drawers and all the things.
Yeah.
But then it was like when it was time, and the way you would poke at him, it was hilarious.
Yeah. No. It was just the best. It was absolutely the best. And so that's what I did. And it was, like I said, I was inspired by that guy writing that there in the book, because he made that change in his life. And the change in his life was that he was not as outgoing, and now he's more outgoing, that he would never do. And so there's been times when I was at that city in Mexico, and he'd be walking down the sidewalk, and I would stop him, and we would start talking, and he was like the coolest guy in the world. But I thought, that is cool, because he had all this confidence, and what gave him that confidence was to be somebody that he all these years wasn't. And so I do Chili Con Chili because it's fun. I get criticized a lot. I get a lot of weird mail, emails, and people saying it's horrible.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Why do people
I don't know.
have the
I don't
need
know.
that?
I don't
I've never
know.
understood
I
that.
don't
That's
know.
one thing I can
I don't
never
know.
wrap my head around
Yeah.
is if you don't like
Yeah.
a show or
Yeah.
something, just keep going.
Well,
I don't know why people
I
feel
don't
the
know, but
need
you
to
know
reach
what?
out.
It inspires me for people to insult me. I don't know why. I just feel like it's like a pat on the back. Like, wow, at least they're watching it, and they don't like it, and they still watch it, So I must be doing something right. But like I say, it's just
That is so funny.
It's
that
fun,
you say
and
that.
it's on. Like I say, it's only on Facebook. Everybody begged me to put it on all the different types of social media and stuff, and I just really haven't got around to doing it. But I enjoy doing it, and I do get a lot of nice letters. I've got people that have sent me pots and pans, knives. There's people that have made custom-made aprons, mittens. I mean, just all kinds of gift stuff like that. But mostly, and I do get a lot of letters from people in prison, and I got a lot of letters from people that are just, going through some hard times and everything. But they say somehow or another, I don't know how you can watch me in prison, but anyway, they do. But it's cool. I mean, it's weird. It's weird that I get these, text messages from all over the world.
I love that you said that about the criticism, can inspire you.
Yeah.
One time, so when I first started testifying as an expert witness in cases, I was at the courthouse all the time. My dad, attorney, mom, a judge, they're there. I had been doing it for a couple years, and I worked in the office with my father,
Sure.
right? One time she said, man, I heard a couple people talking about you at the courthouse. They said you were doing a really good job. And I was like, really? Somebody was talking about me? And my dad goes, yeah, I've heard that. And I said, I work next to you every single day. Why didn't you tell me the compliments that people were saying? He goes, because I haven't heard anyone talking shit, so you can't be doing that good.
Classic. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Never once did I try to make any money off of it. I made t-shirts, I gave them away. I was going to sell them, I ended up giving them away. I give out these stickers all the time, and they're on people's cars everywhere, which is really cool. You can go to chiliconchili.com. I have a website you can see, kind of talks about it. It's been a life changer for me, and it's kind of therapeutic also.
Oh, no, absolutely. You could tell that you get to let out all your silly side, like your Spanish translations are quite amazing. I think my favorite, though, of all times would have been how you translated hi-ho.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's funny that you said that, because I remember your father liked another show, and it was the one that it was about, and I won't say it because it's a dirty word, but in Spanish.
But dirty words are welcome here.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Anyway, it was eat night bread, and I thought that was the one that he liked, because it was panoche. And I said, and Sam was a taster, and I told Sam, I said, I know you probably never had any panoche, but you're gonna love this. And so I had made this certain kind of bread, and he was like chowing down on it, and he said, God, I've never eaten so much panoche in my life. And I was like, you've never eaten panoche in your life anyway. And it was just an ongoing thing. It was real funny, but I'll never forget, because your dad had to bring that up every time I was around him.
You brought up that story.
Oh, yeah. All the
That's
time.
hilarious.
I'll never forget that. So anyway, another big fan. Yeah, like I say, we've had a lot of fun, and I've been fortunate. Because Freddie, my husband, has been very supportive all along, all these years and everything, and he's helped me out a lot, and so that's cool. I think anything that helps me chill out, it's probably he likes. So.
And he picks out the bandanas. Right?
Absolutely.
Every time?
Yep, every time, once a week, and he gets full credit for it. He gets paid the same thing I get. He gets a percentage of my salary. Let's put it that way. He gets, 20% of nothing is what he gets paid. So anyway.
So speaking of you and Freddie, too, y'all have been you've always been such a big advocate here in town for different causes, and you've been in Corpus Christi for so long. You've just seen all the shit show.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Big time.
Do you ever feel that being an advocate is also therapeutic?
To a certain degree. You kind of pick and choose what you want to be an advocate for and everything. But I think, the truth of the matter is that as I get older, I don't want to keep on saying that, but as I get older, I'm not as much an advocate, but what gives me a lot of hope is that there's a lot of young people that are advocating for good things. When I first came to Corpus Christi, my first job for at least 10 years, that I did all the funding for the Coastal Bend AIDS Foundation. And you got to remember, this was the mid-'80s, and you would think South Texas, that would be a rough job, but I was overwhelmed at how nice people was and how giving people were, and it was a big help for me, and I'm so glad that so many other people have done that type of work to help these people, because we've all had people in our life or family that have been taken by AIDS, and it's still here. And even though that people don't talk about it a lot, but it's still in our community and everywhere. So fortunately, Freddie and I get to travel, and we get to go to Dallas and go to a lot of nice fundraisers there also for AIDS organizations. So yeah, we're real pleased with that.
No, that's awesome. And my first time to work on a campaign with you, it was with a lot of really young people. And I remember it was really hard for you and for me, even though I was kind of close to their age. I've just been in the political scene for so long with my parents. I remember they did everything so different. And sometimes it's so refreshing to see how different. But then sometimes that other side of you is, but this is how we've always done it.
Yeah.
And so is it hard how things just keep changing, seeing the new groups like Connor Rice? Like, what's it like for you seeing all these new people come in?
It's incredible. I mean, first off, I think what gets me more excited about anything is how smart these young people are. And intelligence is everything. And when you have a person like Connor Rice come around, I mean, you've got to help this guy, because he's going to help our community in so many ways. And so I worried, like you said, I was worried because people criticize him for being so young. And I was like, really? And everybody said, yeah, it's a South Texas thing. But, we worked really, really hard on that campaign. I worked as much as I could. I didn't do much. I did some, but not as much. But he did most of the work, and it definitely paid off. And I think you're going to see a lot of changes here in our community. And I think we're going to get some better candidates. I mean, not that we've ever had any bad candidates, but there's a lot of change getting ready. And change is good. South Texas is going through a lot of big issues right now, especially with water. We have an influx of people from California moving here, wanting to move big industry here to our back. And I like to see, I'm not the hardcore liberal. I am liberal, but I'm not that hardcore. So I try to see everybody's point of view, but I do appreciate young people. I really push that more than anything. As the older I get, the more I appreciate intelligent young people.
Yes, and I think it's great because you help bring up so many different people when you do see it. Like
Absolutely.
I remember when you worked on Daniel Lucio's campaign, and then this one, but also in the music industry too. Like you'll help our wedding singer.
Oh yeah, Ram Danasy, who is, by the way, going to be here playing for the Texas Democratic Convention. He'll be performing there along with El Dusty and along with Clarissa Cerna. So we got some great local talent that's going to be there. But I like working with those young people in the entertainment business because I have a lot of connections in Nashville, and I would just try to open some doors for them and, to see them grow and do so well. And you're right. Ram loves your husband.
Why does that keep coming up today? Everybody loves my husband.
Yeah. Well, you're just lucky.
I love it.
You're the luckiest person on earth, I guess. But truthfully, like Ram is a big golfer. He loves to golf. Your husband is very good to him to let him perform in his club. He owns 2 nightclubs, and they're both cool clubs. Freddie and I don't do nightclubs because we don't drink alcohol, but we do go to them. And so they're cool and everything. But yeah, I I'm going to go back a little bit. You're talking about Daniel Lucio, and I was having a discussion with somebody the other day. Daniel Lucio was this young man, smart. I mean, you met him and you know he's going somewhere. Whether he's going to win this election, he's going to be somebody, period, end of story. And when we started off the campaign, this shows you how times have changed. When we started off the campaign, I set him up with a lot of people, a lot of business people here in town that own big business or whatever. As smart as he was in the great conversations, the older people that I sent him to, their callback to me was, I couldn't get past those tattoos on his arms.
Oh, I hate that.
That's all they would talk about. And so, and I thought, are you kidding me? I mean, seriously. Now, fast forward 20 years, 25 years, and we get another very, very smart man, and he goes out there and talks to these people, and that, I never got that criticism. I mean, there might have been a couple people say something about him, but it was something that didn't add up to everybody talking about it. I don't even know if he has tattoos, but I'm just saying times have changed. Yeah. And I think people are more appreciative of young people. We have got to empower the young people, especially here in South Texas, because we hear this time and time again that once they get their degree, whether they graduate in Edinburgh or Pan American or Texas A&M Kingsville or Corpus Christi, that they bolt. The day after graduation, they're on a plane and they're out of here. And so we have to, as a community, kind of embrace them, to try to work with them and keep them here. And everybody said, well, unless you want a job at a refinery, that's all there is. But I don't believe that. I think there's a lot of great jobs. I just think that these business owners need to be a little bit more appreciative of what we have as far as intelligent people here in South Texas.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great point, especially when a lot of the older generations are getting burnt out and leaving and switching fields and all of this. And so many people aren't stepping up to advocate because they just don't have that energy right now, right? Yep. So what are some of the times, I'm sure you have been burnt out in your life. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you did to get back up?
I was so fortunate. I mean, I was going through this thing before I did Chili Con Chili that I just had to have an outlet, and I couldn't find it. This is crazy. I used to have satellite radio in my car, so I'd listen to Howard Stern. I know people freak that out, but I was just like, and Freddie and I both, we'd get on the road, take a road trip, and that's all we'd listen to it. And he advocated meditation. He swore by it. And his best friend, which is neither here nor there, but it just so happens his best friend is Jerry Seinfeld. And Jerry Seinfeld is probably a bigger advocate for meditation than anybody, swearing that he has his priority list and that is like on the top.
Wow.
And so I thought, I have to do that. And I was fortunate that I reached out to one person that I thought might know, and they told me that there was a Buddhist temple, and it was outside of Corpus Christi, and that they met every, I want to say, of all nights, like Friday night at 8 p.m. I'm more than sure that's when it was. And that went on for like 3 years. And I had gone to that, and it taught you how to meditate. Not everybody can meditate. Everybody thinks they can meditate, but it takes a lot of work, a lot of concentration. And I was allowed to learn how to meditate. That was a deal changer for me. And unfortunately, during COVID, it ended and they never restarted it. And I had gone back there to a couple of people, and I begged they're called nuns, that if they would reconsider starting it. And for whatever reason, this is a chapter out of the Houston
region area.
Yeah, whatever you call it. And so they said nope, they weren't going to do it anymore. And I was very upset. And I missed that. I really missed that. That whole coming together and meditating. And it was so cool because, like, you think you're meditating, it's going to be all these, and for lots of words, like hippies and, people wearing sandals. But, I mean, there was farmers, there was ranchers. It was such a diverse group of people that it was so cool.
So meditation has been something that when you start feeling burnt out, like you kind of reconnect and do it again. That's amazing. That's not the first time that has come up. I had a woman say that she started meditating every day recently, and it's completely changed her life. That she sees things a little more clear now. like she doesn't have everything so crowded.
Absolutely. No. It's a deal changer. And if somebody could look into that, for me, I needed that to learn how to meditate. But I'll be honest with you, I can still meditate, but I can't meditate like I used to.
Well,
but
things change, right?
But for anybody that wants to look into it, it's really worth looking into. And like I say, don't think it's odd. I mean, it's no odd. It's the same people that say, "Oh, you're going to a therapist, or you're going to a psychiatrist, you're doing meditation." But then when you go, and I know because we used to go to therapy years and years ago, and I can't tell you who would be in the waiting room because you're not supposed to say that. But I was like, wait. These people are in therapy?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I mean, there was a couple of people that I was like, what? And then it realized that everybody everybody needs help, some kind. I'm not saying you have to admit you need help, but I think it's better to get help than to go through life and being miserable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question because you were talking about the show too. Who is one person you would love to cook with? I know you've met lots of famous people, all kinds of different entertainers. Is there somebody that maybe you've met that you think would be super fun to have over here on the show?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The one that I like the most of the people that I've ever worked for was Mackenzie Phillips. And I've worked with her tons of time. And she was on One Day at a Time, which is a sitcom from the 70s or anything. But I liked her because I like her life story. She was her and the girl Bertinelli, the one that was married to Eddie Van Halen. They were the two girls on the show. And both, Mackenzie Phillips' father was the creator of the Mamas and the Papas. And they're also kin to Wilson Phillips. And all of those are kin. The Beach Boys and all of them are all in their family. And she had so many great stories to talk about. Unfortunately, she had a problem with drugs and alcohol. But she turned it around and she went to work for one of the biggest rehab centers there in Malibu, California. But she still did speaking events. But she had a great life story. She had great stories to tell. And I would love to have her. And she would do it. If I bring her back down, she would do this in a heartbeat. But she's a real recognizable person, and I just like her. I mean, I've met a lot of famous people, and I think they would be fun to be on the show, but if I had somebody that I'd want on the show, it would be her.
Out of all, so you've had to use humor and laugh off lots of things.
Oh, yeah.
We, not only as advocates, but just, in life, like we've loved and lost, and I know we've both talked about grief so many different times. What is something that you would tell somebody who's experiencing grief at a really hard level of how to keep going? Because I know you've had to do it. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah. Well, what gets me through stuff like that, and I always tell people, try to concentrate on the fun times that you had with that person. The things that made you laugh, the things that made you smile. Because chances are, if you're grieving really, really hard about somebody, whether it be your brother, whether it be your sister, whether it be your parents or your best friend, the chances are you had more good times with that person than bad. And if you focus on those good times, it really makes a difference. And actually it brings warmth to your heart. That always worked for me. Because I'm like yourself, I lost my brother at a young age. I lost my parents at my young age, and you always have people that can bring up bad things about that person, but those things don't even cross my mind. Like if somebody said something about my friend Sam that wasn't good, I wouldn't even hardly remember it. I'd have to think, and I was like, wow, that's weird. I can't even think about one bad thing, but I could definitely think about the things that would make me laugh so hard. I love humor, just making people laugh.
But a lot of times people probably don't even get your jokes because say them with such a straight face.
They don't realize that pretty much everything I say is a lie. But with that said, we would do stuff, like Sam and I would do stuff, and we would get so tickled. I remember once that we laughed for 3 days. and we couldn't see each other for 3 days, and we couldn't call each other on the phone for 3 days. Like if I called the phone, he wouldn't pick it up because he knows that he would start laughing, because it was just one thing that made us laugh for 3 days. And I mean, those are things that you think about, and I feel for people, because grieving is healthy. There's nothing wrong with grieving. There are some people that grieve their entire life, which I think might be a little bit sad, but I think if you just think about all the fun things that you did with that person, or the thing that made you laugh the most, I really think it'll turn your grieving around, and actually it'll give you a good feeling. I never think about my mother, my father, my brother, or Sam, that I don't get a smile. I don't get upset anymore. And also I'm blessed because I don't feel like I did anything bad with them. I mean, like my best friend Sam, I knew him years before Freddie, and him and I would go to Chicago, we'd go to Los Angeles, we would take all these trips and everything. And, but we were kind of wusses also. We talked a big story like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we really didn't do anything. You know what I mean? But we had a good time. That's to me is how you get over grief.
No, that is a great way, because so many people, I feel like they're dealing with grief and other life issues, and it knocks them down, and sometimes they feel like they're never going to be able to get up.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap things up, this is a very important month, right? This is Pride Month.
Absolutely.
We have lots of people that we need to fight for because of all the stuff out there.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say about, because I think during months like this, or when you're fighting for any cause, some people get to a point where they're just so burnt out because it's like some laws pass good and then we take more steps back. And so what would you say to the people that are like, it's not even worth marching or getting out there, nothing freaking changes anyways?
No, it does make a difference. You have to go back. It's unfortunate. I was a member of a book club here in Corpus at the Barnes & Noble, and there was an old guy there that moved here just temporarily, and he was probably 85, 90 years old, but he lived in San Francisco, and he was friends with Harvey Milk. And Harvey Milk was the one that really made all the difference in the world. I mean, I'm showing my age, but what's missing in our world is there's no Martin Luther Kings, there's no Lyndon Baines Johnsons, there's no Harvey Milks, there's no Dr. Hector Garcia, there's no people that are fighting like they used to, and they had to fight hard. That was a long time ago, and they're still having a fight. And I don't know if you have to use the word fight, but you definitely have to be out there. And people that are offended by whether it be a gay parade or a pride event, I feel sad for them. There was a politician here in South Texas that used to be, it just freaked me out. He would always say, I don't care about those gays as long as they don't touch me. He would say that. And I was thinking, first off, this guy was like 4 foot tall. He weighed 300 pounds. And there's no gay guy that was going to touch him no matter what. If there would have been $1,000 bill.
He was worried for nothing.
Exactly. But it just freaks me out that people say stuff like that. But I don't know if we're ever going to see a day that it's not going to be that way. But I do believe that there are people, especially the young people, that are out there still, not necessarily fighting, but just showing that everything is going to be okay. And I really do believe that's important. And I really think that, South Texas has come a long ways, and even though on the national scene it looks gloomy and everything, but I still think we're in good shape, because I see a lot of young leaders coming up, and a good leader, regardless if they're straight or they're gay, are going to advocate for everybody, and that's including the gay community.
Absolutely. I think that that's a great place for us to leave off.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I appreciate
it. Thank you so much, Matt,
Thank
for
you.
Not only letting me be your taste tester
Absolutely.
earlier today,
Yeah.
but also for being here. I feel that I could record stories from you for days.
No.
I might, you'll be back.
Oh, I appreciate
Who knows?
it.
And we don't even know if any of this equipment worked anyway, so we might have to do it again. We're both on brand.
I love it. I know. And believe it or not, I was just talking to her for advice on social media stuff. So, but anyway, but it'll all work out. I'm going to learn from you as your show goes on. I'm going to learn how you did it, because not that I'm going to put on a podcast, but in case I want to take chili con chili a little bit further.
A little further, I would love that.